So the weather here took a big turn over the last week. It has been in the 40s and 50s and raining pretty much all day, every day. I am trying my hardest, despite this cold that I got, to preserve the last of the tomatoes because, as you can see, though the plants are now dying back, there's quite a few left. So I'm going to just do a quick video showing you the 6 main ways that I am preserving our tomato harvest this year. Hope you guys enjoy. So I've got today's tomatoes picked. Before I take these inside and start processing them, I did want to mention, because I realized some people don't know this, if you get a green or underripe tomato that has fallen off the plant or you bumped it off, this is fine. You don't have to eat it as a green tomato. You don't have to throw it away and waste it. Set it on your counter or on your kitchen table and it will ripen. It's not going to get any bigger, obviously, but it will eventually ripen. So there's no need to feel sad if your plants are dying back and you have a bunch of underripe tomatoes and a frost is coming. Just bring the tomatoes inside, set them on a table, they'll be fine. So let's go on in and I will show you all the ways that I am preserving the tomato harvest.
We're going to start with the easiest way to preserve your tomatoes, and that is slicing them and putting them in a freezer safe container. So I'm just going to cut around the little stem part, slice it up, put it in my container. Now I could squeeze the seeds out, or I could have boiled this and tried to peel the seeds up or the skin off, but this is about easy ways to preserve your tomatoes, and I don't mind the seeds or the skin and whatever final product I'll use this for. So slice them, cap, pop them in the freezer. Done. That's one way. Another way I will be preserving my tomatoes is turning them into tomato sauce. I just sliced them the same way I showed you when I was going to freeze them. I'm going to blend them up to get them to the desired thickness or consistency, I guess, in here, and then they're going to go on the stove and boil down to get the thickness of the sauce that I would like. Now, while my tomato sauce is boiling down, because that's going to take a while, I wanted to show you probably my favorite way to turn the tomato sauce into something else and use even more of my garden produce. So there's summer squash in here, there's zucchini, there's cabbage, there's peppers, there's carrots, you could put green beans in here, pretty much anything that you like. So this is a veggie loaded marinara sauce. I got the recipe from one of my favorite bloggers, Instagram accounts. I will link the blog post for her recipe below. I don't really follow the recipe per se. I just use her idea and then throw in whatever the heck I want in whatever amounts I want. But this is a favorite. I use it like a spaghetti that has a lot of vegetables in it, or just over chicken breast, and it's really, really yummy. And like I said, it's just, you boil down your tomato sauce and then add in everything else, put a little bit of herbs in here, and again, you can see I freeze it. My freezer is actually almost full of the bigger containers of this, because the kids and I eat it probably at least once a week, and it tastes delicious. So another thing that I'm going to do with my cherry tomatoes, I have roasted these. There's a few different ways you can roast cherry tomatoes. You don't necessarily have to split them. I just decided to. Basically, I cut them in half, season them, and I could freeze them, but I am taking up a lot of freezer space, and I've been seeing a lot of people doing oil packing. So that's what I'm going to try this year. So basically, I've roasted these. Now I'm going to put them in this jar and cover it with olive oil. I will link a video on how to do that. This is my first time trying it, so I don't want to show you the whole thing because I don't know if I'm going to screw it up or not, but I will show you, you know, the way a professional does it. But that is another way I am preserving tomatoes this year. So here are my oven roasted, oil packed cherry tomatoes. Do keep in mind, these need to be stored in the fridge. So if this is one way that you're interested in trying, just be prepared that this is going to require some some fridge space. So another way that I have been preserving tomatoes and a lot of the other goodies like peppers and garlic and onions from the garden is fermented salsa. This is, again, not my recipe to share, but Google or YouTube, and I'm sure you can find lots of delicious fermented salsa recipes. I keep mine in the fridge. Here's my tomato sauce after I got it boiled down to the thickness that I want. You can go thicker than this, thinner than this. It's just personal preference. I also do not season this at all. I don't know what I'm going to use it for in the end. It could be chili, it could be spaghetti, it could be in goulash. So I know all those things kind of have a similar seasoning, but for me it's just easier to leave it and then I can season as I cook it. But same thing, I am just going to get a lid, cover this, label it, pop it in the freezer.
Okay, the last way I am preserving my tomatoes this year is by dehydrating them. I'm just putting them in, slicing them as thin as I can and putting them in the dehydrator. It's taking about a day. I think after I have enough, I'm going to powder them and turn it into a tomato powder just to add to things that I would already add a tomato sauce into to give more of the tomato flavor without adding a whole bunch of liquid. It's going to be a great way to preserve them because I can get a lot of tomatoes down to really small, especially after they're powdered. I could season them before I do this and, you know, have like a little seasoned tomato snack chip type thing, but I'm just going to use them as a powder. So those are all of the ways that I am preserving my tomatoes this year, and thank you for watching, guys.